Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are coming to you from the Lee Company studios here in Columbia. Off camera, we are joined by the third amigo, the third musketeer, the third stooge, Chris Yao.
Glad to be here, guys.
I can't hear you.
A man that wears many hats.
Many hats. Let's see if we can hear him, though. Yao, is your mic hot?
You guys can't hear me now?
Nope.
He's here.
He's here, but he's not here.
That's right.
We'll get him here as the show progresses, hopefully. Happy opening day for those who observe. My favorite team is not observing today. It is sunny and 67 in Atlanta, by the way. Perfect day for a ball game.
The question will be, will this gag go on for the whole series or just after this series? And when we get to the home opener, we'll let it slide.
Well, I mean, when they get on the field, we'll probably let it slide.
It is frustrating, obviously. You get all riled up, you get prepared, and it's funny because you and Chris have been talking about kind of this scenario happening for 2, 3, 4 weeks, if not longer. And then on opening day, we're sitting here womp womp with a rain out.
Womp womp. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. I thought I had a womp womp. Guess I don't.
You do, just trombone.
It's not hitting though. So anyway, that's what happens when I try to be creative. But yeah, Chris and I have talked about this for a few years, actually.
But it kind of just makes sense though, right?
Why would you not open in a warm weather area? If you have the opportunity.
I'd love to tell you what my mind on it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Alex Anthopoulos doesn't want to, that's why.
That's right. We did come up with that. Alex Anthopoulos prefers to open on the road. So there we go.
And in AA we trust.
Yeah, we do. In AA we trust, Chris said off air, because his mic isn't working. Regardless of the fact that the Braves are not playing today, we still have a great show. We will be visiting in the second hour with longtime Middle Tennessee journalist Ken Beck. He's going to tell us about a book that he's written. Looking forward to discussing that with him. And in the next segment, thanks to one Wade Neely and some of his network, we will be catching up with NAIA men's basketball national championship coach Drew STUTTS of FREED-HARDEMAN. The Lions coming off of that win out at Kansas City a couple of nights ago over Langston. So going to catch up with him and see if he has gotten back on the ground.
I feel like he's probably still got to be floating, right? And I don't know what their plans are over there in Henderson, Tennessee.
You mean as far as a statue?
Maybe not a statue. I was thinking more of the parade logistics. That could be the quickest championship parade ever. I mean, imagine if Cornersville wins.
Well, I mean, I've never been to Henderson, so I can't really say. Got a few friends who have gone to school there. Looking at you, Pernell Knox. But I mean, would the parade go through Henderson, or would it go through all of Chester County? Maybe.
If you got some good PR skills, yeah, you just hey, once you keep getting past the city limits,
just keep going.
I mean, might as well just take this party on into Jackson. You know,
circle around and come back. That's it. I mean, I'm sure all of West Tennessee is proud of the FREED-HARDEMAN Lions for that victory anyway. So yeah, let everybody celebrate. Again, it is Throwback Thursday. We will be revisiting our segment from earlier this week with former Tennessee State Athletics Director Teresa Phillips. So we will have that in the second hour. Later in this hour, hopefully Yao will have his mic working by then, and we will weigh in with some Major League Baseball predictions. So, and then we've got the grab bag. Got some things that we need to talk about that we've not managed to talk about yet this week, but we will do so toward the end of the show. So, big show.
Gonna be fun. Throwback Thursday is always fun, and kind of hyped up our guests. We had a blast chatting with Teresa Phillips earlier this week, and I think a lot of the questions, especially around MTSU, and we even mentioned the Iowa-West Virginia situation, a lot of those still kind of remain. So even though it's a throwback interview, there's still a lot of kind of current, we still got some mileage left on that conversation.
Absolutely. Still very pertinent. So looking forward to revisiting that again. Right now, though, we need to get to yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Baseball diamond we go. Here are our scores from yesterday. It was Ravenwood 10, Centennial 8. Columbia wins a nail-biter 3-2 versus Spring Hill. Creekwood knocks off Niles West out of Illinois. 8-4 was your final score there. Again, Creekwood victorious. Brentwood wins over Franklin 5-3. Hampshire takes a one-run ball game 8-7 versus Cornersville. Close game there between those two rivals. Columbia Academy takes on Caneland, Illinois, and CA wins it 7-1. Loretto puts up 12 runs in a shutout versus Rogers, Alabama. Muscle Shoals 5, Murfreesboro Central Magnet 3. Nolensville a 4-0 win versus Page. Thompson, Alabama defeated Oakland 10-0. CPA defeated Pope John Paul II 5-0. It was Riverdale 5, Kettle Moraine, Wisconsin 2. Licking Valley, Ohio. Yes, Licking Valley, Ohio 9, Riverdale 8. So tough losses there on the diamond yesterday for the Warriors. Blackman picks up 2 victories versus Rockville. First one is a 13-3 win. Second one is 5-3. Siegel takes care of Lake Central, Indiana 5-4. Spring Hill rallies in the second meeting with an 8-1 win versus Columbia. Stewart's Creek 4-3 over Cookeville yesterday. Summertown knocks off East Limestone, Alabama 10-6. Independence takes a pair from Summit 5-4 and 3-1 to cap your baseball scores from yesterday.
In softball action on Wednesday, Oswego of Illinois defeated Blackman 6-1. Columbia Central with an 8-5 victory over West Point of Alabama. It was Donaldson Christian 1, Joe Burns 0. Ezel Harding with a 15-0 win over Mount Juliet Christian. Hardin County defeated Lawrence County 8-5. It was Clarksville 7, Houston County 0. Clarksville Christian 8, Kirkwood 5. Loretto with an 11-0 win over Lewis County. Oakland defeated West Point of Alabama 7-1. Ardmore of Alabama 13, Riverdale 10. It was Spring Hill 11, Santa Fe 1. White House with an 8-0 victory over Station Camp, and Summertown down Mount Pleasant 15-0. This hockey score is from Tuesday night, not last night. Did the Grizzlies play last night, Wade?
Lakers defeated them 136-124.
So that is from last night.
No Anthony Davis, but LeBron had a pretty good night as the Grizz came up just shy there. Baseball schedule for this evening. Beach is going to play somebody. Who that somebody is, we're not really sure. TBA listed as your opponent, but I can tell you the game is set to begin at 3 p.m. Also at 3 p.m. tonight, Briarcrest Christian taking on CPA. At 4 o'clock, Gallatin will travel to Providence Christian. Lane, Illinois is also set to play Providence Christian, also listed at 4 p.m. So just show up.
Christian's going to be busy.
They're going to be busy. I don't know if they got 2 squads going or so there's a schedule snafu there, but know that Providence Christian is going to be playing somebody at 4 o'clock in baseball this afternoon. St. Charles North out of Illinois is going to take on Springfield at 4 p.m. Now at 4:30, John Overton is at University School of Nashville. Liberty Creek will take on Joe Burns. Glencliff is at Lawson. Innsworth at MBA. Nolensville will take on Science Hill tonight. Or this afternoon again at 4:30. Also tonight at 5 p.m., Eagleville versus McMinn Central. Franklin Road Academy is at Waverly. Santa Fe is at Zion Christian. 5:30 start time between Mount Juliet Christian at the Tennessee Heat. Into 6 o'clock games now. DCA is at BGA. Lawrence County is at Brooks, Alabama. Stewart's Creek is at Cookeville. Fayetteville will travel to Culleoka. Hickman County is at Fairview. Lebanon is at Gordonsville at 6 p.m. And your final game inside the 6 o'clock window, Mount Pleasant will take on Richland down in Linville this evening.
At 6:30, Rockvale travels to Blackman. Also, Hume Fogg is at Cheatham County. Harpeth hosting McGavock. Montgomery Central goes to Kirkwood. Hardin County is at Loretto. Providence Christian hosting Henry County. Science Hills at Riverdale. Crawfordsville of Indiana is at Siegel. Smyrna hosting Watkins Memorial of Ohio. Westmoreland is at Springfield. Dyer County plays Spring Hill. Not sure where that is. Glenbard, east of Illinois, plays at Wilson Central. At 7 o'clock, Hartselle of Alabama plays Clarksville. Clarksville Academy is at Dixon County. Hendersonville travels to East Robertson. Green Hill hosts Smith County. West Creek is at Sycamore. At 7:30, Giles County is at Anderson County. We've also got Summit playing at Independence. Not sure of the time. And Bob Jones of Alabama plays Rossview. Not sure of the place or the time. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, Delta of Indiana plays Pope Prep. Morristown West plays Murfreesboro Central at 11. And at 11:30, Spain Park of Alabama plays Middle Tennessee Christian.
Softball games coming your way tomorrow afternoon. We begin at 3:30. Good Friday ball games between Mount Juliet Christian at DCA. Lawson is at Whites Creek. At 4:30, CPA is at Pope John Paul II. 5 p.m. Ravenwood at Centennial. Also at 5 p.m. Santa Fe at Culleoka. Beach will travel to Gallatin. Station Camp is at Greenbrier. Independence Summit at 5 p.m. Clarksville Northeast now at 5:30 will travel to Clarksville. Antioch is at John Overton also at 5:30. At 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Stewart's Creek at Lincoln County. Lebanon at Wilson Central. That game is slated to begin at 6:30. Smyrna will play Whitwell. Not sure of the time there, but Smyrna and Whitwell going to get it on. And in a game that will start tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., Nolansville is going to travel to take on Franklin.
Soccer this evening. Clarksville Academy is at Good Pasture. That's a 5 o'clock start. Also at 5 o'clock, Pearl Cone is at Westmoreland. Hunters Lane is at Springfield. Brentwood Academy plays at Battleground Academy. That one is at 6. Also at 6, Fayetteville is at Culleoka. Hillsborough goes to Gallatin. Overton hosting Montgomery Bell Academy. White House is at Liberty Creek. Smyrna hosts Antioch. Greenbrier travels to STEM Academy. At 6:30, Lincoln County is at Spring Hill. Christ Presbyterian Academy goes to White House Heritage. Zion Christian hosting Franklin Classical. 7 o'clock, first touch for Franklin at Brentwood. West Creek at Clarksville. Trinity Christian going to Clarksville Northeast. Also, Montgomery Central is at Creekwood at 7. Giles County hosting Lawrence County at 7 on the pitch. You can see and hear?
Just listen.
Oh, you can only hear on Pulaski Citizen Live.
If you hadn't heard enough of me already by this afternoon, buckle up. You got 2 more hours tonight. Giles County and Lawrence County should be a good one on PCL.
Of soccer.
Of soccer. Calling the touches, as it were. Bo.
There we go. Rossview is at Station Camp at 7. Summit hosts Page at 7. Columbia Central travels to Warren County at 7. And at 7:30, Kirkwood is at Cheatham County. On the ice, 9 o'clock, puck drop as the Nashville Predators go out west, taking on the Coyotes of Arizona. Again, that's 9 o'clock. You can see it on Bally Sports South and on SCRI. Any clue as to what that is?
Whatever that regional carrier for the Coyotes is, I'm not
Okay.
entirely sure, partner.
Okay. Major League Baseball of local interest, local being in this studio right here. The New York Yankees are at Minute Maid Park taking on the Houston Astros. That's a 3:10 start. And can that be seen locally?
Doubt it. MLB TV or what is that? CSN Houston, I think.
Okay. All right.
You're going to have to get creative.
Check.
There are ways to find it, but yeah, get creative.
Check your local listings.
Absolutely.
That is your rundown.
Can you hear me now?
Story brought to you by Piggly Wiggly over in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check them out for your delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And actually, it's kind of top stories, plural, because The Tennessee Sports Writers Association has announced its players of the week for baseball and softball. In baseball, Lee University first baseman Cam Suto hit 476 on the drove in 16 runs, 21 at bats, 16 RBI, 13 runs scored, including a 4-for-6 9-rib performance in Lee's 28-10 win over Christian Brothers. Suto with
sport?
In
what sport?
baseball.
28-10?
28-10, yes. Held Christian Brothers to a field goal late.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. A grand slam and a 3-run home run for Mr. Suto, along with 6 runs scored. For the week, he had 4 homers, a triple, and was 5 of 5 on stolen bases. We're talking
Holy moly.
We're talking Ronald Acuna Jr. here. So, yeah. Cam Suto from Lee University is your baseball player of the week. Your pitcher of the week, if you've listened to the show this week, it won't come as a great surprise. Middle Tennessee freshman left-hander Chandler Alderman is your Tennessee Sports Writers Association's pitcher of the week after throwing an 8-inning no-hitter Saturday in the Blue Raiders' 10-0 win over Liberty. Struck out 11 in his second start and posted the 4th no-hitter in MTSU history. The 3rd complete game no-hitter, I guess. One of those was a combined, and the 2nd freshman to do so. So congratulations again to MTSU freshman Chandler Alderman, our TSWA pitcher of the week. In softball, Trevecca's Kendall Andrews, for the 2nd week in a row, is your player of the week. She hit 643, going 9 of 14 from the plate, scored 13 runs, hit 3 homers and a double, drove in 10 runs, also drew 9 walks, and was 9 for 9 on stolen base attempts. Chattanooga sophomore Taylor Long is your pitcher of the week with a pair of victories and her first save, 13 2/3 innings with a 1.02 ERA and 21 strikeouts. So congratulations again to Cam Suto of Lee University, Chandler Alderman of Middle Tennessee State, Kendall Andrews for the 2nd straight week of Trevecca, and Taylor Long from Chattanooga, your Tennessee Sports Writers Weekly honorees. Shifting gears from outdoors to indoors, we've talked about the transfer portal and how it has impacted some local schools, Belmont in particular. Well, one of those portal entrants has exited. Jacoby Gillespie announced earlier today he will be playing next year at Maryland. 2nd team All Missouri Valley Conference selection this past season. Also a member of the conference's All Defensive Team and Most Improved Team. Averaged 17.2 points, 3.8 boards, 4.2 assists, and 2.2 steals. Shot just under 40% from beyond the 3-point arc, 38.7. 56.1% from the floor, 83% from the line. He will be a Terrapin playing in the Big Ten. And apparently
I was shocked when Casey Alexander was able to get Jacoby Gillespie out of Greenville. And, you know, to be honest with you, I always thought he had Power 6 talent, and clearly the thought process that Joe Sullivan laid out about Casey Alexander being able to get some of those big time high school guys makes a lot of sense now. And you know, he's kind of getting them ready and giving them an opportunity to play their way into that Power 6. So,
and that's almost how you have to approach it, isn't it?
For them, absolutely. I feel like this is an unfortunate situation for teams like Belmont, but also there is good and bad. You can give and take. And so I think that Casey Alexander will be able to find some folks in the transfer portal himself as well as continue to get that big time high school talent. So.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that jumps off the page to me, guys, about this move is Maryland was already, didn't have the greatest of seasons last year, but they were a really good defensive team. And you're talking about bringing in another really good defensive player. They also picked up a kid named Rodney Rice from Virginia Tech. So Maryland, we talk about teams being just a player or two away. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to land the big time transfers to really make a huge impact. Jacoby is listed as number 17 on the 24/7 transfer portal rankings. Supposedly he was ranked as high as 14 earlier before this commitment. So Maryland kind of quietly making some nice pieces, and kind of like to Chris's point, if you're willing to kind of shift your philosophy and kind of dabble in the transfer portal, Belmont's a guy. There's nothing to say that a kid from a bigger school would not necessarily fit in at Belmont.
Sure.
It's not obviously just flowing purely upstream there. So the fact
Malik Dia.
Malik Dia comes in from Vanderbilt. So.
Right. I essentially maybe just dismissed that because of the local factor, I guess. But yeah, there's nothing that says that if you're willing to go out and, play the portal game, which we've seen a lot of coaches really make that their huge impetus, that you can have some success. Obviously sad to see Gillespie go. And Chris also made a good point. This is a kid that was coming out pretty highly rated and kind of a semi-surprise that he ends up at Belmont.
Right.
So certainly wishing him all the best. Hope it's a good fit at Maryland. And again, it sounds like a really good defensive team is going to be pretty loaded on the defensive side of the ball again next year.
Yeah, we want to see him go up there and do well for sure. When we come back to the Lee Company studio here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by FREED-HARDEMAN men's basketball coach Drew STUTTS talking about the national champion Lions. Stay tuned right here.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Chris, are you on or not?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
You can hear me, so I guess that's good.
Well, I mean, I guess that's technically enough. Okay. All right. Anyway, the three of us are here in studio, in the Lee Company studio here at West 7th Street in Columbia. And we are now joined by, we don't have many national champions on our show. So when we get the opportunity, we certainly try to take advantage of it. And we are now joined by Freed-Hardeman men's basketball coach Drew Stutts, the Lions with the NAIA championship win over Langston Tuesday night, 71-67, after trailing 67-61 with a minute to play. I mean, that in and of itself is pretty high powered stuff right there. But just like you drew it up, right, Coach?
Hey, it didn't matter how it happened. I was just glad it happened. So it definitely was a thrilling ending to the game, but I would have been fine with being ahead by 5 or 10 and playing the smooth there at the end. But it was thrilling. It was a lot of fun.
Congratulations to you. Welcome. And thank you for taking some time out of your celebration to hang out with us for a little bit. You know, Wade has a lot more knowledge of the road that you all had to navigate. 1, to get to Kansas City, 2, to win in Kansas City, but particularly coming out of the Mid-South Conference, which is a highly competitive men's basketball conference, getting out of there, you almost, I guess, feel like Kansas City certainly wasn't any harder, I don't guess.
Yeah, Mid-South, I mean, if you know much about NAIA basketball, traditionally one of the most, talented conferences in the nation. You've got the likes of Georgetown here recently, Thomas More, Pikeville, Shawnee State won the national championship a few years ago. And so, if you can compete, and that was one of the things, we joined this league 3 years ago. And, at the time, obviously, you got a little bit of intimidation just because the blue bloods that are in that league. But at the same time, that's what you want. You want to play the best teams. And by doing that, obviously, it's going to prepare you for national tournament. And if you can compete in that league and, if you can win it, which we've been fortunate to do the last 2 years, then, you're a true contender in the national tournament. And I think playing in that league definitely prepares you for the opportunity. And, I've had a lot of those coaches here in the last few days reach out to me. And so thankful for that competition, thankful for, just the opportunity to play great teams, because I think you got to do that in order to win a national championship. And, your record may not be as pretty every year. You may not post, 25, 30 wins, but when you get an opportunity to make a run, you'll be ready for it.
Drew, as you guys made this run, obviously, I guess my first question is, at what point did you know that you had a really special team? Sometimes, especially at the NAIA level, these teams don't really come to full cohesion until after Christmas, and then they kind of get rolling. I guess my first question to you is, when did you know that you guys might have the makings? Obviously, had a great run at it last year, but did you know early that you might have a chance to get back? And if so, share a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, I mean, we started off the year bringing back a lot of pieces. We brought back a lot of guys that made it to Kansas City last year. That's a round of 16 in the national tournament. We made it to Kansas City last year, and so knew we had a bunch of young guys that played and had an opportunity to, just mature and have that experience heading into this year. So knew that we would be a good team, but, really didn't know how good. I kind of remember the preseason rankings coming out, and can't remember if we were top 10, top 15, somewhere in that range. And I thought, that's pretty impressive for us because, 2-3 years ago, we were just trying to make the national tournament. We were just trying to get ranked in those polls. And so it was a great start to the season, kind of set the tone. And, to be honest, as far as knowing that we truly had a chance to win it, I walked in the locker room at halftime of the semifinal game. I jokingly, this kind of a little phrase that we'll use from time to time, I said, we might be something serious, guys, because we were leading Grace. Grace was the number 1 overall seed. And, we've got a good team. We don't have the most talented team. I think there's a lot more talent in the tournament, but we just got the right group of guys. I mean, to me personally, you just got to love watching us play because we play super hard. We're tough, play together. We got a group of 10 guys that consistently are in the rotation. And, if you follow the path of the tournament, we've had quite a few different leading scorers. And so for basketball purists, guys that like to do it a little bit more the traditional way, it's fun to have seen these guys grow up. We got 14 out of our 16 players who are high school kids, not transfers. So it makes it a little different feel when you see these guys grow up and mature over the years. And, just an unbelievable finish to this season.
Drew, your regional run, I guess let's maybe start there real quick. Took care of Loyola rather handedly at home and then also knocked off Point Park right out of the Pittsburgh area there. But then as soon as you get to Kansas City, it seemed like you guys ran into a really tough game. What went through your mind as you squeak out that 1-point win versus the Masters in your first game there in KC?
Man, Masters out of, basically Los Angeles, California. I mean, they had a ton of talent, good coaching, high-powered offense. Playing a good league out there, get some good teams. And so hadn't had a chance to watch them before until that point. And so watched, 6-7 of their last games and thought, man, we're going to have our hands full. They had lost to some really high-quality teams during the season. Honestly, I thought they were a lot better than a 4 seed. But, kind of in the I guess the culture, the fashion of our team, what we've done this year, we just gritted out a win. We just found a way to win that game. Offensively, things were not clicking really well, but we leaned on our defense. From a I guess statistical standpoint, we got the number 1 defense in the nation. So anytime that offense isn't clicking, you can kind of rely on that defense. And so we got some hands on the ball and created some turnovers, put a little pressure on them, and thought we did a good job. I know we held them to low 30s. Overall field goal percentage. And anytime you can do that, you're going to have a chance to win, and just fortunate to get out of there with a 1-point win.
And then you guys walking through the rest of the bracket here. It was interesting that the one side of the bracket in particular kind of played a lot of chalk, but we know the tournament is tough, but you guys get a matchup versus Central Baptist Arkansas, who comes in as the 15 seed. And then in the upper quadrant of that bracket there, Evangel is the 15 seed. What did you like about the matchup versus Central Baptist? And then you kind of had referenced, tell us about that game, and then a little bit about the follow-up contest in the semifinal versus Grace there, the number 1 overall squad.
Yeah, honestly, you mentioned the opening round. We were a 1 seed, and we played a 16 seed out of Loyola. They had actually won the national tournament 2 years ago and had been on a long winning streak, wound up winning Southern States Conference. So I thought our opening round game, we were playing a 16 seed, but they were not a 16. Then you mentioned us beating Point Park. They were a 30-win team in the round of 32 and a really talented team out of Pennsylvania. Masters, really talented. So I thought finally – we played Central Baptist, and I know Sam, he's the head coach there and has done a great job. But, I really liked the matchup for us. They had won a lot of games. I think they had won 19 of their last 21 games. But liked that matchup for us. And, honestly, going into the tournament, I thought, hey, if we could get to the Final Four, if we could make that Final Four weekend. That would just be an incredible experience. Last year, Grace out of Indiana beat us in the round of 16. They've been number one in the nation all year, 34-1. They're going to have the National Player of the Year in Elijah Malone. He'll probably be a Power 5 player next year if I had to guess. And, we just want to find a way to compete. We just want to find a way to compete and make it hard. And obviously, anytime you get a chance to play a team that's put you out in years past, especially with it just being 1 year ago, that's a pretty unique opportunity and some extra motivation. Not that you need it, but having had some experience against them in the previous year, I think helped us. And, I thought we did an incredible job that game, just finding a way to beat them. They shot the ball well. If you haven't had a chance to watch that game, I know you can pull it up on NAIA, their YouTube page. It's just an incredible small college basketball game, high-level game. Both teams, I thought, played to their maximum potential, and, we were just fortunate to find a way to win that game as well.
Coach, you mentioned you mentioned NAIA YouTube, and we had just talked about Jacoby Gillespie coming out and surprising us going to Belmont. I think it was a pretty big surprise when J.J. Weed out of Clarksville chose Freed-Hardeman, and you clearly got a lot out of the freshman this year. Talk about his impact coming in this year and how important he has been to this team and to this run.
Sure. Yeah. JJ, super talented young man. If you haven't had a chance to watch him play, you should. Explosive offensive player, has really matured and adjusted well to the college game over the course of the last 2 years. At Clarksville, he was easily the most talented guy on his team for probably 3 or 4 years, led them to multiple state tournaments, and, had always been used to just being that lead guard who, scored 20-plus points a game every game. And so it took him a little while to adjust to playing with a great team and not feeling like he had to do so much himself. And, honestly, I think in this past week, I've seen more growth from him in this past week than maybe I have in the previous, year and a half. Super talented guy, comes from a great family. Calvin, his dad, I've gotten to know that family over the last 2 years, and just a great young man. We were thrilled that he chose us. He had quite a few Division II offers, some high-level Division II offers, but came on our visit here. We were real transparent and honest with him, just like we are with anybody else, and he felt like this was a family and the right fit for him, and he's definitely been a blessing for our program these past 2 years.
Coach Drew Stutts of the Freed-Hardeman National Championship men's basketball team joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, you were talking about JJ. You've got a handful of guys with Middle Tennessee high school ties. Hunter Skurlock started for you. Riley McLaren out of Eagleville has started for you. Keaton Bassham coming off the bench. Let's talk about the importance, generally speaking, of this area to y'all's recruiting efforts.
I think, you brought up JJ, obviously Hunter, those guys. When you're coaching small college basketball, especially in a town like Henderson, Tennessee, we're a small town, Christian university, regionally finding guys that can stay close to home where they can, their friends and family can be part of the program. I think anytime you can do that, it's a great opportunity to pull some guys that maybe might be a little bit higher level player. You brought up Hunter Skurlock. Hunter, my first day on the job 5 years ago, I went to Good Pasture High School and worked him out in their auxiliary gym. And I thought, man, people are missing out on this kid. He's a long 6'7", 6'8" athletic kid that can do a lot of things on the floor, wound up being tournament MVP. He's really matured just as a young man over the last 5 years. Just incredible person, incredible family. He got married this past summer. His wife was actually a volleyball player at Lee University over in Cleveland, and they're expecting their firstborn this year. So big, I guess, year for the Skurlock family with him being tournament MVP, winning a national championship. But yeah, we've got a lot of kids regionally, whether they're from North Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. We like to keep kids that are close to home, and and have their families be a part of this process for them.
Coach, congratulations. We appreciate you taking some time with us. We've been speculating, where will the parade be? When is the parade?
Well, it was interesting the way things worked out. This week was actually our spring break. So we had an opportunity to have a lot of fans. Our entire baseball team, 40-plus guys, came up to the Final Four and National Championship game, and we had a packed house in the Municipal Auditorium there, and it was an incredible environment. But got back home, everybody's off campus, so I think they'll be back on Monday. I know we've got administrators and staff working on that, and we're going to plan something big. This is obviously such a huge accomplishment for our program, but for our university and town as a whole. So I'll fill you in. It's going to be sometime next week, but it's exciting times to be here at Freed-Hardeman.
Absolutely. He's got a really big team. They need some really big rings. Drew STUTTS out at Freed-Hardeman. We appreciate it. Congratulations again.
Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, as we move on here, real quick before we get out of this segment, we need to give out a little hardware, as we usually do. Our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week is the Lawrence County Wildcats baseball team, which went 4-0 last week. And I would dare say the biggest win of the week was the first one, as they defeated Loretto in Loretto 1-0, followed up with a 15-6 victory over Wilson of Alabama, defeated Mount Pleasant 12-2, and then an 11-0 win over Rocket City out of Alabama. So the Wildcats with a big week. They are our In to Win Life Team of the Week, sponsored by Custom Stone Handlers. Our TOA Columbia Athlete of the Week also hails from down south. Giles County boys soccer player Christian Sense. In 4 games last week for the Bobcats, he had 6 goals. He had 6 assists, including a 2-goal, 5-assist performance as Giles County defeated Campbell County 10-0. So they scored 10 goals, and he had a foot in 7 of them.
This kid can play, and he's fun to watch. And his recruiting is going to be fun to watch. He's already gotten some pretty decent little interest. And for a kid out of Giles County, they haven't had an elite individual player. They've had some good teams in the last decade, but Christian is really rising as an elite individual. So kind of neat to see him start a strong junior campaign here for GCHS.
There we go. And when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, we're going to talk a little baseball. Wade's team is playing, ours isn't, but we're still going to talk a little baseball, talk a little some predictions. We feel like the games that have started probably won't have a huge impact on what we decide. So check back with us, see what we think here in the company studio after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated cost plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Thursday here on One Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Getting a camera to himself over there is Chris Yao. And at the top of the hour, we're going to throw it back to a recent segment where we were fortunate enough to visit with Teresa Phillips, former TSU athletics director, talk a little women's basketball. But right now, let's talk a little baseball. Going to go around the horn with some divisional, some wild cards, some World Series, postseason predictions, I guess. So I don't guess there's any better place to start than the National League East, right? So you can pretty well figure out who I'm picking. So yeah. So Wade, thoughts on the NL East, how it plays out? Let's just go with the champion and then we'll fall back to wild cards.
The easy answer is the Braves. And I'm just really trying to come up with a scenario where anybody other than the Braves does win that division. I think outside of a big injury, obviously they're the team to beat. Yeah, find your heftiest piece of lumber there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Mets seems like they've taken a step back from even what they were hoping for last year. So really, it almost seems like from the jump, it boils down to a two-team race, unless baseball is just one of those sports where you get a fluky team that just goes on this crazy run. I just don't see any way that it's not the Braves, though, out there, NL East, excuse me.
Yeah, you would agree.
No. Give me the Phillies.
You're taking the Phillies to win the
I'm
division?
taking the Phillies to win the division.
Okay.
And
Expound.
it's I think the Braves have a few question marks in the rotation. They did last year too, but I think I also feel like you don't know what you're going to get out of Chris Sale. Phillies have some question marks in their rotation too, but they've got Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, and a fantastic bullpen. I think their lineup's a little worse than Atlanta's. But like you said, baseball's a fluky thing, and I think it's going to be a late September race, and Philadelphia is going to come out on top.
I think Chris is kind of engaging in some reverse psychology over there, but
yeah, he didn't necessarily do a great job of bluffing.
But that's
over
okay. That's okay. It's okay. I mean, I get it. Whatever it takes to get our team the desired outcome. I'm just going to come straight at it, though. I don't do psychology very well. The Braves' back end of the rotation is relatively shaky. I mean, Chris Sale hadn't gotten through a whole year. Charlie Morton is 40. It's easy enough to think that they may not be at the top of their game all year, but watching the way the Braves piecemealed the back end of the rotation together last year, and most of the guys that were involved in that are back with a year's experience under their belt. If the rotation is the issue, I don't know that there's an issue. And if they have to win games 7-6 instead of 3-2, they're certainly equipped for that as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a good thing, right? Is the lineup can carry the nights where the bullpen even, or obviously the rotation could be a struggle.
I think the success of this team, given again question marks at the back end, I think it's going to rest more on the offense, and I think this offense is built for it. So I'm going Braves.
Question marks that could be exclamation points is the good thing.
Because you saw what Sale has done during spring training. If he's healthy, look out. NL Central.
NL Central, this was one that I'm kind of going back and forth on, and it seems to me that almost everybody in this division has at least a puncher's chance. But I feel like the Cubs are the team that I'm going to maybe end up siding with here, mainly just because I feel like anybody could maybe really make a run at it. It's going to be so fun to watch a real full season of De La Cruz, who apparently did a presser in English for the first time, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, that it's kind of showing that, hey, I'm doing everything I can to market myself and make myself this next big star, which is really, really cool. I think the Cardinals, they'll be kind of middle of the pack in that division. But I just feel like the Cubs, did they not close on a really strong note last year, right toward the finish? I think they maybe carry some of that momentum into this year, and I think they end up winning the Central this year.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. Everybody has a chance in this division, including the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, seriously, this is a really tough division, and I just feel like this is just kind of one of those things that the Cardinals are never going to be down long. And if Sonny Gray's able to get back and he's able to give them most of the season, I got St. Louis.
I feel like the Cubs, even though they swapped out David Ross for Craig Counsell, I feel like the Cubs are probably the most stable bunch in the NL Central.
And that may be the problem I have with the Brewers. Is I'm not sure about their.
I think the Brewers took a step back with some of the moves that they made.
I think they may be playing a little bit for the future.
Yeah.
On this very show a couple of weeks ago, we said we're not sure what the Brewers are doing.
Yeah, we did say exactly that. And I'd like to see Pittsburgh make a run, but I just don't know that they're quite ready for it yet. And you're talking about young superstars. I mean, O'Neal Cruz, hopefully he stays healthy the whole year. He is a guy to watch right there with Ellie De La Cruz, I think. But I think when it's all said and done, I think it's the Cubs at the top in this division.
It'll be it's kind of one of those classic fun NL Central races. None of those teams I don't think are going to be elite.
Nobody's going to run off with it.
I don't think anybody's going to run away with it. I don't know if anybody's got the goods to really maybe make a deep postseason run, but it'll be fun to watch in the sense that you don't know what the heck you're going to get night to night.
And here's the thing. We're in the middle of March Madness. I think the NL Central is a one-bid league.
Well said.
I don't think you're going to see a wild card come out of there. So, NL West.
All right, I'm going to go crazy I know this is going to be a little bit wild for some folks, but I'm going to take the Los Angeles Dodgers to win the NL West.
I was about to say, where is he going with it?
I'm going to go out on a real big limb here. I don't think they're going to be as good as, they're not going to win 120 plus games. I don't think. I don't even know if they're going to win 110 or 100 games this year. And the crazy thing, and there's just whispers, obviously this Ohtani situation could be a real crazy situation. Number one, in the event that he somehow were to potentially miss games, just think about that. But number two, what does this potentially do if this kind of is this lingering cloud for the clubhouse the whole year? Yeah, he may end up playing all the games, but if it's kind of just a distraction all year, that just gives me a little bit of concern. That division is also loaded, especially in the last 2 weeks, you and I have talked about, Mo. You got the Diamondbacks, of course. We've seen what the Padres have produced. And just a couple of weeks ago, we said basically everybody, especially what the Giants have done in the last 2 weeks, everybody except the Rockies is probably in pretty good shape in this division. So I think the Dodgers win it. It's not going to be the absolute runaway that I think some folks are predicting, though.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. I'm going with the Dodgers here, but Jordan Montgomery signing with the Diamondbacks yesterday was a huge signing. I think
that's a great gap closer.
Again, they
between them and the Dodgers.
They
went to the World Series
last year. And beating the Dodgers to get there. So, I mean, this is not a team to be taken lightly. And, of course, like you said, the Giants have made some moves in the last couple of weeks that really make you feel like they are taking an opportunity and a real big swing here. But I'm going to go with the Dodgers just because I think the way they run their organization, the way that they run their program is just it's built for 162 games.
The Dodgers, again, led by shortstop Mookie Betts. I mean, they have just gathered a bunch of players, throw them on the field, and wherever they land is where they play. But they find a way to make it work. And, I mean, I think their pitching is a little questionable. But, again, I think their offense, particularly, Betts, Ohtani, whenever he plays, Freeman, I think it's tough.
Gavin Lux, they're all pretty decent hitters.
I think it's tough to pick against the Dodgers, but I don't think, like you said, Wade, I don't think it's going to be the landslide that the money that they've spent would have necessarily dictated. And I expect the Giants to be a factor before it's all over with. Again, signing Blake Snell a couple of weeks ago, signing Matt Chapman. I mean, those are upgrades. I think it's going to be a race. I think the Dodgers win it. So, AL East,
all right.
Or do we want to go NL wild cards first?
Yeah, let's knock these out.
All right.
And you just mentioned I'm going to choose one of my wild cards. Do we want to give both at this current? Three. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Oh, I get a bonus pick. I love that. Even better. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
You just mentioned the Giants, and obviously they've made great moves. But when it comes down to mojo and things of that nature and team chemistry, I think there's going to come a point in this season where the Dodgers are either not so far ahead, they're just going to kind of develop this attitude like, hey, we can do anything that they can do. And I feel like with that being said, that the Giants are going to find themselves in whether it's the division race or just by that very nature, they're going to have to be competitive. And so I think the Giants are in prime position to lock up one of those wild card spots. Another easy one, not as much reverse psychology as our cornered co-host there, but I will say that the Phillies, I think to a similar extent, they're a really good team, but I think that competitive edge with them and the Braves being in the same division, they're going to play off each other at times this year. And obviously you'll have a chance to beat up on potentially the Marlins and obviously potentially a chance to beat up on the Nationals quite a bit. So that wouldn't surprise me. And I'm kind of looking and I'm kind of hunting, and I just really don't see any other way that it's not. I don't like anybody else out of the Central. So, I mean, I'm going to have to go with the D-backs. The only other team that really is at least intriguing to me is the Padres, just because I'm in the camp almost. I don't necessarily know what sort of Padres team is going to show up this year.
Exactly.
And if they show up and they play well, they're going to be good enough to be in contention, just like the Giants and the D-backs along with the Dodgers there. But if they don't show up and play well, this could obviously turn into an ugly situation. I think they find a way to be sneaky this year and maybe sneak in toward the end as that final wild card spot.
So you've got Giants, Phillies, and
Padres.
Okay. Yeah.
Give me the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, and Atlanta.
I am taking, not necessarily in order, I am taking the Phillies, the Giants, and the D-backs. All right. AL East.
AL East, and you kind of touched on it before we went to break a moment ago. I had all my predictions prepared earlier today, but based on what I've seen through 2 innings, I think the Orioles, and I'm joking when I say this, but okay, yeah, no, I'm upgrading. It was 2-1 a moment ago. It's now 5-1. Give me the Orioles to win the AL East. I'm officially sold.
You're all in.
All in on the Orioles after they're up 5-1. But no, I think it's going to be a pretty competitive division. But man, I was just impressed with what they brought to the table last year, obviously. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm completely wrong, but it just feels like the next logical step is for them to continue their same trajectory as last year. And I don't think the Rays are going to get off to that crazy start like we saw them last year as well.
Right.
I 100% agree. They're going to get Jackson Holiday at some point. Hopefully it's after May 1st. So he will at least make one trip to First Horizon. But, yeah, give me Baltimore.
I'm taking the Orioles as well.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, they're an exciting young team. They got a lot of talent over there, and they've got a year of experience on the big stage under their belt, and I think that's going to really stand them in good stead in 2024. AL Central?
AL Central, I was kind of speculating on this division, and it seems kind of like that proverbial NFC South in the NFL where it's the next team's division to win. But then I kind of start looking at it a little more, and I don't know that the Twins aren't necessarily just going to maybe bully their way into this division this year. Buxton is a guy that I enjoy watching. I feel like the Twins, not necessarily because every team is bad, but also kind of in the sense that I think maybe they are the best of the potential bad teams. But I still think this is a team that could end up winning quite a few games, maybe more than we speculate. I think the Guardians have a shot to make a little noise, but I was prepared to pick a team just almost at random from this list. But the more I kind of read about the Twins, I like the Twins, what they bring to the table this year.
Tired of agreeing with you, but you're exactly right. I think they are the best of that division, and it's.
I was prepared to take a different team. I mean,
but it just
nobody else jumps out to me.
It's Minnesota and everybody else for me.
And I think that's it exactly. I think it's kind of Minnesota and everybody else, just from the standpoint that they are the best of a group of not so good teams. So yeah, I'm going Twins as well. AL West.
AL West, I'll be accused of homerism on this pick.
It's okay.
And, it is what it is. Houston, I mean, until somebody kind of really knocks them off in the regular season and kind of really just strong arms that title away from them, I mean, you got to go back to 2016 where they haven't really just kind of ended up winning that thing. So give me Houston. They had some questions. Obviously, had some injury issues last year. If you keep everybody healthy, I think picking up Hader at the back end of the bullpen was massive, which is going to be clutch in those close ball games, because I do think Seattle and Texas, obviously, after winning it all, they're all knocking on the door. But I think Houston ends up winning the AL West this year.
Well, I'll save you from your homerism pick because I'm agreeing with you once again.
Come on, man. I did not look at your notes, by the way.
Same.
Like Sweet accused us of yesterday. He said you were eavesdropping on his
on his meeting. Yeah. No, I'm taking the Astros as well. I mean, the only big change really is Dusty Baker not being in the dugout, but I think the talent is there for them to win it yet again. Wild cards.
Wild card, I do think you see maybe one, if not two, wild cards from the West, but I do think Seattle is kind of primed to make a run this year. I'm taking the Mariners to get in there. I'll go ahead and give a little gentleman's salute, a tip of the cap. Give me the Rangers to make some noise. It's not as if I don't think the Rangers, I didn't pick them to win the division because they fell off by any stretch greatly. I just think Houston is going to be just a better team in the regular season. So I'll take the Mariners. I'll take the Rangers. And then you just got to feel like the other team comes from the AL East, I would suppose.
But which one?
Yeah, there's 4 of them.
And they're all capable.
I know. I mean, this is literally a dart throw, and I'm going to say the Yankees. I mean, just feel like they'll find a way with some run production just to somehow slug their way into contention. I really don't like none of those teams. 4 remaining strike me as separating one from the other. I'm just going to dart throw on the Yankees. Keep Ben McKee happy, if nothing else.
There we go.
All right. So I agree with you on New York. I agree with you on Texas. The problem for Seattle for me is that they play in the AL West. Well, the team that has the best chance of winning enough games to make it to the wild card probably plays in a weaker division. So give me Cleveland for a wild card spot, because I think they get a chance to play some weaker teams. They don't have to play Houston and Texas as often as Seattle does. So give me the Guardians.
I'm fortunate to go third in this rotation because between what I had in mind and what you all have said, I've got Guardians, Mariners, Rays, and Rangers for 3 spots. And the point that you made about the AL West and being able to win enough games has kind of convinced me to eliminate the Mariners from consideration. So give me Cleveland, give me Tampa Bay, and give me Texas as your 3 AL wildcards. World Series matchups.
World Series matchups. There's 2 of you and only 1 of me, so I'm taking the Braves to make it to the World Series. And since there's only 1 of me, I'll take the Astros to make the World Series. I don't think Texas gets them again this year. I think Houston, with a healthy, full regular season under their belt, knock on wood, will have enough gusto, and then maybe hopefully that carries them into the postseason. So we get a rematch from a couple years ago in my book. And if nothing else, it'll be great fodder and great clips that we can run on this show for eternity.
Oh, without question. Yeah.
I have the Atlanta Braves and the Baltimore Orioles.
As do I. Champions, 1, 2, 3, Braves.
Astros.
Orioles.
Ooh, okay. Okay. All right.
All right, so you've got the Braves, Mo.
I do.
You've got the Astros.
Yes, but I reserve the right to change my pick after the 3-10 game versus the Yankees today. If they lose that game, I may rip up my entire
somebody out.
I may rip up my entire bracket, as it were. But yeah.
There we go. Hey, we are a little beyond a break, so let's get one right here and come back with our Throwback Thursday segment with Teresa Phillips. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
You'll get like a little. You still get like a little overlap. So, yeah, 2 screens.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are coming to you remotely from the Lee Company studios of our respective abodes, and we are now joined by former Tennessee State University Athletics Director, again, former NCAA Women's Tournament Selection Committee member, Teresa Phillips. Coach,
hey,
good afternoon.
how are you guys?
I'm doing well. I'm slowly getting over the events of Baton Rouge from last night or yesterday afternoon, and let's kind of start there, because if the quicker I can get this off my chest, the better off we'll all be. Anybody that knows me knows I'm an MTSU graduate. I'm an MTSU stan. I love this Lady Raider program, and just because I'm biased doesn't make me wrong.
No.
Teresa, how bad was that officiating?
It was bad.
Okay, thank you.
Bad. And because it was bad, and because of the early calls, I always say if officials can make early calls against an underdog, they can kind of take them out of the game, because they know as the game goes on, that's going to come back to haunt them. Exactly what happened with MTSU. They got depleted of their players, and the players, when they were out there, the big girl, et cetera, just, they couldn't play at full. It just kind of knocks the whole wind out of you. And that LSU is a physical team. I don't think physical is a bad word. They're physical.
Mm-mm.
So, the 37-9 disparity, I think that's what it was on the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you overcome that.
That's the question. And, it's
It was bad.
It's tough. And I mean, LSU doesn't need any help is the thing.
No, we have a family, we are big into sports in my family. And so I have a nephew, Dan, who played at Tennessee State, my son, Kyle, my other son. We have a family text. We're watching the game. As a matter of fact, Ole Miss is getting throttled last I looked by Notre Dame right now. So I'm not mad that I'm on this interview. Because that game is over and Tennessee doesn't start at 3. But the first thing that they were all saying is these calls are ridiculous. These calls are intentionally going to take MTSU out, and MTSU was leading. They were leading when we were still saying that. But the game, that eventually LSU is going to play a little better, and if we have people sitting on the bench and not out there competing against then when they kind of do a little bit better, because MTSU has a great game plan. Let's just be honest. They have one of the best coaches in the country, in Rick Insel. And their talent wasn't quite on the same level, their size, their bench, but that was a game they would have won. I really think. I mean, that's unfair to say. I'm not on the committee, so I can say whatever in the heck. But and it just pulled that win totally out of them. And of course, playing on home courts in women's basketball in those first 2 rounds is such an advantage too.
Oh, we're going to get to that in a second, Coach. But one of the thing, if you are a women's basketball fan, that I feel like you have to be concerned with is the amount of talk that the way that game was called to take MTSU out of its game was in an effort to preserve a Elite 8 meeting between Iowa and LSU. And the fact that people are even saying that when women's basketball is at the height of popularity that it's at right now, I don't know that you can afford to have that kind of speculation around the game, that things are being tweaked in such a way to preserve that kind of thing. I mean, is that concerning?
But let me tell you, I think we talk about that in every sport, not just women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that in the NFL this past year. There are some, conspiracy theorists really think as a and then you see some things that happen in the game leading up to games that can make you argue some of those points. I was on the committee for 5 years, and we were very close quarters. Met 7-8 times a year, in person, on the phone monthly. I did not see any intentionality of us trying to set up brackets to advantage certain teams and programs and others. But we're all human, and so all of us were from different areas of the country, from different conferences, from different schools. So you can't ever say that there are no biases in it. But I think most people had high ethics. The officials, I think, just are bad at this point on the women's side, especially. I think a lot of the good ones have aged and are still calling. And then we're not getting quality young ones coming in. And those older aged ones who are going to get the big games still, Maurice, they still big games. They have relationships with some of these old players. Coaches, whether it's Don, whether it's Kim, whomever you want to call it. They've called for them for years. You're not really in circles with referees, because that's really, not allowed. But let's be honest. If you've called 60 of my games, because I've been coaching for 20 something years, at a level, and you get all the TV games and all that kind of stuff, we start having a relationship, even if it's that relationship. And I think in people, that bias exists, man. People pretend that it doesn't. It does. It does.
Coach, you had a post on your Facebook page. We're fortunate enough to be Facebook friends, and I appreciate that. But you had a post regarding the discrepancy between UConn's athletic budget, I believe it was, or the women's basketball budget, I'm not sure which one it was, and Jackson State's comparable budget. And I know it's apples and lug nuts. How do we, is that one of those, it is what it is kind of things, or is there some kind of way to address that, or what? Is that fixable?
I don't think it's fixable. I don't think it can be addressed. There's no limit on how much money you can invest in. There may be limits on numbers of coaches. There may be limits on scholarships, but there are not limits on your budget. And that was just the women's basketball budget of UConn's being right at 11 million and Jackson State's being under 1 million. We'll round it to 1 million. It was like 900,000. So that's nutritionists. That's assigned multiple weight coaches. That's a couple trainers. That's better medical care. That's player personnel people. That's traveling not by bus, not by plane, but by charter plane. That's practice facilities where you can practice at the best time for your team academically, not just when the gym is available and open and the men aren't practicing and they don't have complications, other things that mid-major schools have to do. That's those extra 2 coaches who now can take time to do individual workouts with their players, to do the film work and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's they have transfer portal people for these programs. That's all they do is study the transfer portal almost. And so it's a start. And so when one of these lower seeds beat an upper seed, because I think MTSU's budget is on like 2.6 million women's basketball budget, and we know LSU's is as much as UConn's
at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a healthy budget. 2.6 million. That's
you should be able to do pretty much whatever you need to do with that, right?
But when the other guy has 11, 12 million,
mm-hmm.
And like that goes back to what you said. LSU didn't need any help, did they? So yeah. I always laugh and say, why don't they give the underdog a couple of calls? The benefit of that. That ain't happened yet, man. So but the disparity, Division I, because both of these are Division I schools.
Mm-hmm.
Disparity. At least football has FCS, FBS, and Power 5, and I guess everybody else. And I just think in 10 years the NCAA is going to be toast anyway. So I don't even know what we're talking about.
That's
a whole.
Yeah. That's a whole.
Put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
Hold on to that.
I'm going to be talking about that a lot.
Yeah, we can come back and chew on that one for a long time. Hey, Coach, while we got you here, looking through the bracket, you kind of touched on it. There weren't a ton of quote unquote upsets, but what was one or two big storylines? What were you kind of fascinated by this weekend outside of MTSU, which we obviously were kind of glued to on both Friday and Sunday?
MTSU, of course, was a great. Everybody across the nation was very excited to see it, but not totally surprised because most people know MTSU and the program that Rick Insell has built in Murfreesboro. I think one of the fun things that you are seeing this year in women's basketball is how many great freshmen are out there, and the stuff that they're doing is just on another level to be so young. And they're also playing. And sometimes I guess being young, you can play without, in any fear or whatever, but they are just, from the young lady at Notre Dame who's tearing up Ole Miss right now to Juju out at USC. I love the girl at Iowa State.
You do love your post players, don't you, Coach?
And I mentioned her to my son, Kyle, at the beginning of the season. Said, Mama, you sent me her information when the season started. I said, I did, because I like my big girls. And I just said, she's 4-time shot putting champion in high school, 6'3", and Kyle has played 4 years in the NFL. I said, Kyle, and she's as tall as you and as big, maybe bigger than you. And that's not a put down, a young lady. Mm-hmm. Hey, Audie gets up and down that court, and she has footwork, she has touch, she has sweet personality, plays. I mean, she's enjoying the game, and you saw the love that her team had for her, and she had for them after she dropped that 40 the other night. Now, she had a harder time last night going against Cameron Brink, from Stanford, who is the shot block leader in history, I think, or something. So but how exciting to see what that young lady and her young Iowa State team, what they'll do moving forward. The fun about women's basketball right now is it's just not UConn and UT, maybe one other, Baylor and whatever. There are a lot of good teams out there, a lot of good coaching.
And you mentioned UT, obviously they're getting ready to tip it off versus NC State. And then the winner of that game would advance to meet Stanford after winning that thriller in overtime. And I'm curious, what's your take real quickly on Tennessee and NC State? And then how do both of those teams potentially match up in your mind versus Stanford in the next round?
And NC State has another young freshman. But anyway, Tennessee has been an interesting team this year, haven't they?
They have. That's a good
one way to put it.
wow. They played South Carolina the best of anybody this year.
Mhm.
And we're not going to even go to the heartache that happened
Yeah.
night. You know, I'm a Vanderbilt Commodore down and whatever, but I'm from Chattanooga. I'm from East Tennessee, so I'm still a Lady Vol fan.
Mhm.
So they have a pro player, Rakia Jackson. Nobody can stop Rakia if she makes up her mind. So we'll see what happens today, but they really are a dark horse if they play their good ball to make it to the Final Four. That's my prediction. Now they might lose 2 hours, and I'm just saying, well, that's what
we will delete this tape, Coach, if they lose today. How's that? But speaking of NC State, Coach, again, you're a former women's tournament selection committee member. What do you know about the officiating situation in that Chattanooga NC State round 1 game where an official had to be pulled off the floor at halftime?
Yeah, well, you know, that's a miss on the part of the committee too. And I was on the subcommittee for 2 or 3 of the five and a half years, because my last year was the COVID year. So we were sent home before we even did the bracket. We're up in Indianapolis, everything hit. But that, oh boy, that vetting happens way out. And it continues into the week and a half that we're up there, you know, setting the bracket. That was a miss on the part of that official. So I don't know what issues and trouble that official will be in, because it's hard for you not to answer that question. It's a question on your form that you must answer, your affiliations with different schools and colleges. So I don't know who discovered it, how it got discovered in the middle of the game, basically.
Right.
And how that was, it's kind of embarrassing. If I were on the committee, I'm sure the committee was a little embarrassed by that, because even if it was just the error on the part of the official that they failed to disclose, you just can't have that kind of thing.
Yeah. Teresa Phillips, former Tennessee State athletics director, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, we've talked a lot about, you know, the relative lack of parity in the women's game between the budgeting and the officiating and that kind of thing. When do these women's first and second round games get to neutral sites?
Well, I don't think it's been a mistake up until now to do it the way we've been doing it. Even when you talk to the student athletes, they say they rather play in front of people than play in front of empty arenas.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that if you're playing in front of people and you're playing on a home court of a higher seed, it's going to be a tough row to hoe. They still have great experiences with it, but I think the discussion has been had before I left the committee, and it probably will start picking up pretty heavy, because each time you see situations like the MTSU, LSU, and that's not the only one that has had years. I think Carolina might have been Belmont or something, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, just some BS really at the end of the game, and every single call went against them, and allowed North Carolina to hang on their court and win. You see those kind of things. And so they're going to have to just be a little bit more creative. I think one of the things that went into play last year, if you remember, instead of having 4 regions, the women now just have, I guess, 2 regions. You wouldn't call it a region, but
2 sites, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you. 2 sites to try to gather the folks, to get everybody in that area to try. But it's tough to be completely fair, as you know. Some of the men were upset, you know, like Bruce Pearl talked about all the Alabama teams that were in it having to go 2,000 miles to play. You know, that's a disparity there when you have to travel that far in different time zones, et cetera. And sometimes when you're trying to be fair, making sure people don't play each other, if you're in the same, you know, conference until, you know, after the Sweet 16, all of those kind of things kind of factor in. But home court advantage is home court advantage. There's a reason people win more games at home than not. And so you're putting folks in a hole when they have to play on somebody else's home court. I think UCLA and LSU, well, that'll be in the region, so that won't happen. But yeah, it'll have to be looked at, Maurice, and I think it's a tough one though when you're on the women's side until we get to base where people will come irregardless of who's playing. That's difficult.
Yeah. Coach, as always, we appreciate your insight. We appreciate your time, and we're going to let you get ready for that UT-NC State game. But thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for
Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Welcome back into the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. That's Chris Yao in front of the green screen. And really enjoyed that second take with Teresa Phillips. Hope y'all did as well. She's so insightful.
One of those guests you really could just spend a lot more time with, but we were fortunate enough to get her as long as we did.
Absolutely. Yeah, never enough time with Coach Phillips. Looking forward to this next guest as well. Longtime Middle Tennessee journalist and former co-worker in another life, actually. Ken Beck joins us. And Ken is, in addition to being published in various newspapers, is also a published author as of this week. You can find his offering For the Love of Stan Musial on Amazon. And Ken joining us via audio only. Ken, good afternoon.
Hey, glad to be with you guys.
Hey,
let me share something. Last night, I had this book all ready to go on Amazon this morning. Last night at 8 o'clock, Amazon said they've had technical difficulties, so it may be next week.
Oh,
so it's not on now. So I regret that. I couldn't have any control over it.
Hey, that
Technology.
happens. We understand. Yeah, technology is a beautiful thing when it works. But yeah, coming soon to Amazon, For the Love of Stan Musial. Tell us about it.
Well, it's really an homage to my youth. I started playing Little League Baseball in 1961. That was the same summer Mantle and Maris were threatening Babe Ruth's 60 home run record. And that was what really got me into baseball and collecting baseball cards. I played baseball all the way through high school, and I just loved it. I had a very wonderful childhood. And the book is sort of an homage also to, all the boys of the 50s and 60s. I know it's different today, but back in those decades, I mean, we would play on organized baseball teams, but during the mornings, we would come together different backyards and play baseball games. I mean, practically all day long. And my childhood was mostly in Arkansas and Oklahoma. So until 1958, the St. Louis Cardinals were the furthest south and furthest west team. And of course, Stan Musial was the man. And so I started out in 61 liking the Yankees like every other kid. And then I realized the Cardinals were there. And so I switched my allegiance about a year later and have ever since been a Cardinals fan. So the plot in a nutshell is about four boys, 12-year-olds in the summer of 1963. This was Stan Musial's last season. And they live in a very small town. And so they would never have seen a Major League Baseball game. And so they talked their parents into letting them go, taking the bus. They have to earn their own money. Back in those days, you could mow yards and pick up pop bottles and do fairly well. So that's sort of it. Three of the boys are white, and this was in the time of segregation. Three of the boys are white. One of the characters is a black deaf boy. He's the best athlete on the team. They played baseball with. He wasn't allowed, of course, to play in the Little League at that time. But they're great friends. They have a tree house, and so they make a pledge that they're going to try to go to St. Louis. And so then it called for me to find out what was that stadium like. I had 4 chapters set in the old Bush Stadium, which was Sportsman's Park, which opened in the 1890s. So I had to do quite a lot of research, and I met some really great people who went there back in the 50s and 60s who helped describe that baseball park and what it was like and a lot of the nuances about that park. And I also read everything I could find about Stan Musial, who, again, back in the day, the Yankees, Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, they're in New York. Stan Musial's in St. Louis. So, he did not get the acclaim probably that he could have had if he'd played on the East. But again, that's part of the plot. But again, it's a very sentimental story, very all-American. If Walt Disney were alive, I'd like to think he'd make a movie out of it. But I'd like to think again that people my age, I'm in my early 70s, would enjoy it. Men that played baseball, and hopefully for some of the youngsters today that play baseball and love it.
Ken, this is not your first book foray. It's your first fiction, I guess. Is that right?
It's my first fiction, and it's the hardest writing I've ever had to do. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've had about 30 books published. It started for me back at the Tennessean in 1982 when I met a young guy who was at Vanderbilt, had a Andy Griffith Show club, a fan club, and I got to meet him and did a story for him in the Sunday Showcase. And then it turned out we wrote a book about the Andy Griffith Show, which we got a great New York publisher and sold quite a few books. And then a few years later, St. Rutledge Hill Press, which was a small company in Nashville, asked us if we would do an Aunt Bee's Mayberry cookbook. And I told them we don't cook. I turned them down 2 times. And the third time I said, well, if you'll get a food editor. And so Jim Clark and I compiled Aunt Bee's Mayberry cookbook with recipes from most of the cast members, writers of the show, and fans all across the United States. And it sold 1 million copies. I still can't believe it. And I also at the Tennessean interviewed many cowboy stars. Most of the people in the features department didn't like Westerns. So I interviewed a lot of the great cowboy stars, and we did another cookbook with recipes from all the cowboy heroes with lots of pictures. And that one sold very well too. But yeah, this is something that I've been wanting to do for many years. I actually started on it almost 20 years ago. I wrote 3 chapters and thought it was awful. I put it aside, and 2 years ago I said, you know what, I'm going to write it. I'm going to finish this and get it done, and I did. And it's turned out better than I thought. It's actually better that I did it now than back then, because I need to do a lot of research. Stan Musial was an incredible man. Bob Costas, first out of college, his first job was with the American Basketball League in St. Louis. So he got to know Stan Musial, and he gave his eulogy. It's you can find it online. It's really wonderful. But Stan Musial was doing well. He was the first man in the National League to get a $100,000 salary in the late 50s. And he was interested in getting into business. And I didn't know this 20 years ago, but he had a restaurant in St. Louis called Stan and Biggie's Steakhouse. It was very successful. And he would often go there after games and meet everybody there, shake hands. And he was married to the same wife for over 70 years. I mean, he just had great all-American values and was beloved in Missouri and still is. After some games, he would sit in his car in the parking lot. The kids would want autograph balls. He would say, let me sit down in my car and I'll roll down the window and y'all just be patient and I'll sign all your autographs. But he also carried in his trunk, I found hundreds of baseballs, because wherever he was, he would meet people and he'd say, let me get a couple of balls and sign them. So he was an extraordinary man. And he of course went into the Baseball Hall of Fame on the first time he was up for it. So I think he's sort of been forgotten, not in St. Louis or Missouri, but as far as the rest of the baseball world. One of the interesting things I found out about the ballpark, the old Sportsman's Park, the first Bush Stadium, they're now in their 3rd Bush Stadium, I think. The right field fence had a screen. You couldn't hit a ball into the crowd under the pavilion. To hit a home run, you had to hit it over the pavilion. So in 1955, the Cardinals did an experiment. They wanted to see who had the better advantage, and they took the screen down that year, and they found out they hit more home run balls than their opponents. But for whatever reason, they put the screen back up. So the baseball, and I'm not sure if I got this right, Sabre statisticians, they've gone back and looked at those home runs. Stan Musial finished his career with 475 home runs. If they left the screen down, he would have ended with 676, which would leave him fifth on the all-time home run list. So again, he had so many doubles and triples off of that fence that could have been home runs.
He lost 200 home runs.
That is crazy
That
to
is
think
crazy. Yeah.
You just blew my mind with that right there, Ken. Hey, real quick, you mentioned, Ken, that first foray into fiction, and I'm always fascinated talking with authors, and I guess I'm curious, what's one thing during this process that either you learned that really resonated with you, or you've kind of given us a few nuggets, but what's one thing maybe you learned about yourself or your writing process that you kind of took away from this endeavor here?
Well, honestly, writing dialogue that's authentic to me is horribly difficult. But I had to make myself get up in the morning and get on the computer and write another 2 or 3 pages. It was, I don't want to say it's punishing, but it was a hard challenge for me. But again, in doing the research and talking to other people who can share details, of course, it's a fictional book, but that ballpark was real. And actually the game they see is actually the exact game they saw on that date. There's a website that gives you every detail of every major league game. And they're trying to, obviously they want to meet Stan Musial. He had a home run in that game, and they pulled him out at the 7th inning. They were sitting down the left foul lines down third base. They were hoping to meet him right after the game was over. So that's how sort of the nightclub works into this plot. And just to share a little bit more, and this is a little bit of a spoiler. So the 4 boys are earning their money, and about 3 or 4 weeks before, one of the boys dies. So they have to decide, are we still going to go, since this kid that dies is the one that was really the one that wanted to go more than them. And they said, well, he'd want us to go.
Wow.
So a couple of weeks before they leave, one of them says, we're going to take him with us. And so I'll leave this word, Prince Albert Tobacco Can.
Got you. Ken Beck, author of For the Love of Stan Musial. You can find it soon on Amazon. Be sure and check it out. Ken, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, fellas, for listening.
All righty.
Thank you, Ken.
Last segment here on Main Street Sports Today. We're going to tie up some loose ends. So come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll be right back.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Spruce yourself up, yeah.
Oh yeah, you know.
You are on TV, man. Hey, Astros 4, Yankees nothing. Bottom of the second at Minute Maid. Wade is a happy camper.
I'm not saying they're going to go 162-0,
But there's a chance.
but you can't win them all till you win the first one.
Boom.
and
right now they're winning at least.
And it's only the second inning.
Yeah, them and Baltimore off to a fast start.
Just
Boom.
absolute bonkers right now.
You know who's not winning right now?
The Atlanta Braves.
No. Well, besides them.
They're also not losing.
Exactly.
So there's that.
I don't think the NFL is winning right now.
Well, before we get into that, we have one more thing we need to get out the way.
All right, then.
And that is,
he's going ISO ball.
we have introduced him on this show a number of times as the Hall of Famer. Well,
Oh, Lord.
that is because he is, in fact, a Hall of Famer. And after the next couple of months or so, he will be in yet another Hall of Fame. Mo Patton being inducted to the Tennessee chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So give him a hand or whatever you give him.
Hey. A hearty thank you will be fine.
Well,
yeah.
Well
I
deserved,
think
my friend.
the wrestling world, and especially in Middle Tennessee, particularly, which across the state, obviously, is
Amateur wrestling
certainly-
world.
Yeah,
Wrestling.
not
Yeah, wrestling, not wrestling.
Not wrestling.
Yeah.
Boom.
Key distinction, just in case anybody's confused.
Huge.
Incredibly.
No turnbuckles, no coming off
No.
the top rope here. Yeah.
But we'd pay to see that. Anyway, congratulations.
Congrats, Mo.
For yet another.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. The NFL.
Now the
NFL.
Now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah, the NFL coming soon to a Christmas near you. This was announced a couple of days ago that they were going to play a couple of games on Christmas. And we just hadn't had an opportunity to get to it because we've had so much else going on. But Christmas is on a Wednesday.
Well, they've played on Wednesday before.
Have they?
During COVID, remember Baltimore and somebody played on a Wednesday.
Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But that was, kind of a rescheduled kind of thing.
It was, but still, this is a completely different.
Now, this was a Wednesday. Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Christmas.
Christmas on Wednesday.
And
which has traditionally been the NBA's holiday.
I was going to say they're stepping on Adam Silver's turf, and I think they got away with it last year because the schedule fell the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they said, "Yeah, we like this corner."
Here it's sort of like the Braves when they had Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox. Just keep keep going off that corner, keep going off that corner until it's a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Then bring it back. The NFL is just going to keep going out there and seeing how much more they can push the envelope, apparently.
And especially because the fact it's not just one, like you said, it's 2 games. And
somebody's going to have to travel. I mean, unless it's, both the LA teams and both the New York teams. And I don't think the NFL is that forward thinking. So
I think the NFL for sure got a nice little bite of the apple last year. And, the NBA, that was kind of their big deal. And the NFL said, you know what? We can get away with this. And this year, they're taking it a step further.
I kind of feel like the NFL is like, who's going to stop us?
Yeah. I mean.
Here's the thing. Look, the NFL destroyed the NBA in ratings last year. They're going to destroy them in ratings.
Well, I mean, it's a late season NFL game. It's a December NBA game.
And the NBA's ratings are trashed as
anyway.
So it's just a situation where the NFL is just like, okay, well, we're going to give the people something to do.
The big kicker on all this, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all going to watch, most likely. I mean, especially those
the evening games.
Those you've been hanging out with your family all day.
Games, you've been eating all day. The tryptophan has kicked in. Yeah.
You just like Thanksgiving. That Sunday or that Thursday night Thanksgiving game is always just.
But the clutch thing on all of this, or the interesting note on all this, is all 4 teams will have played the weekend before. They are going to be moved to Saturday. They've already said that they're going to be flexed into Saturday,
which is not unusual. They play on that Saturday anyway.
Right. They usually, and this is kind of what we had discussed on the show about 2 weeks ago about college football kind of requesting that the NFL not, or actually it was the NFL requesting college football not play some of those playoff games around that time. And so at least you're getting them kind of what would be akin to a Sunday, Thursday scheduling format, which we've all obviously seen how poorly some of those games have been played over the years. But you're at least keeping, if they were going to have to potentially play on Sunday that week before, then obviously I would really, really have a gripe. The fact that you're getting the same amount of quote unquote rest, which is really not going to be that much, makes it a little easier to stomach. And then,
Here's what's funny though. You just announced that you are changing kickoff rules and you are eliminating the hip drop tackle in the name of player safety. Tell me how safe that turnaround is.
Well, I mean, they've been doing it for years at this point. So
it ain't great. That's for sure.
It's not great. And
it just kind of is what it is.
And
I'm a little surprised that the Players Association signed off on it, but at the same time, it's like, what can you do?
Well, I mean, again, if they flex them to Saturday, it's no different than a Sunday, Thursday turnaround. So, yeah, I mean, they've agreed to that.
And so then presumably you'll get a game the day after as well on the traditional Thursday game, I would assume, right?
You would assume.
Unless they're just taking Boxing Day off, just out of respect. But I mean, I think we're going to get the Thursday game. So you're kind of looking at
get Saturday too.
You're looking at Saturday the week before.
You might as well play one on Friday at that point then, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday the week before, traditional game Sunday the week of Christmas.
Monday night?
Monday night football that week. So you take Tuesday off, then you got the 2 games Wednesday. And presumably
Thursday night?
the way that I'm reading the calendar is the Wednesday games kick off the new week. Having said that they play the Saturday before.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll all tune in. And so in a weird way, we're kind of feeding the beast in this regard.
Here's what's interesting, though. Those teams will be playing on Saturday, which will also be first-round games of the college football playoffs. So I wonder how that.
That's what we were saying. A couple of weeks ago on this show, we had mentioned the NFL has kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge told college football, hey, we're playing this day. It'd be real nice if you didn't play this day. And
it's a nice playoff you got there.
Yeah,
hate to see anything happen to
100%. This is I mean, if you're a football fan, and obviously you can just turn the blinders on or put the blinders on to player safety and being away from family, then yeah, I mean, this is you're signing up for this all day long. You're going to get to watch playoff games. You're going to get to watch NFL games all in that short time span around Christmas.
Yeah. Sweet 16 games tonight. In the West, you've got Clemson and Arizona at a little after 6, followed by Alabama and North Carolina. Those games are on CBS. In the East, you've got San Diego and UConn at 20 till 7, roughly on TBS, followed by Illinois and Iowa State. Which game is most significant for y'all?
I think the most significant game is the UConn game, in the sense that if they lose, obviously, which it doesn't look like they're kind of on that run like last year. They're just beating up on teams. And most significantly, if San Diego State somehow were to win it, obviously now it seems like this thing is back on and anybody has a real shot to win it. I think the most entertaining game of the night is going to be Illinois-Iowa State. Illinois seems like they're playing at a really high level, as does Iowa State. And Vegas says that game, Iowa State's favored by only 1.5 points. All the other games are 4+ points. So Vegas kind of seems to agree. UConn's favored by almost 12 tonight. So I think Illinois, Iowa State's going to be good. I think Alabama, North Carolina could be really, really fun to watch tonight too. If Alabama can maybe find just a touch of defense.
Well, they can.
I don't know that. Yeah. Well, they can find a touch. Can they find a
score?
If they can find enough defense? They kind of got away with a little bit. Grand Canyon couldn't hang on to the ball to save their life the other night.
Alabama's going to win.
I would not be shocked if Alabama wins. It kind of feels like we've seen this script before, where you just kind of have written a team off and then just out of nowhere they've just pulled it all together and made a little bit of a run.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Y'all's feeling a little frisky after that Gonzaga.
Yeah. I saw him levitating.
I think
Clemson on air the other day.
Is a unique game, though, by the way, because Clemson was not really that good, and Arizona I didn't think was really that good. So I just don't know how to expect that. But yeah, Alabama's going to beat North Carolina tonight. I put money on it already. So do the opposite.
He has spoken.
Do the opposite.
I think Clemson. I do agree. I think Clemson and Arizona could be pretty good tonight. But just the fact that Clemson is still here, I feel like they're due to kind of eventually run out of steam, right?
Well, New Mexico was supposed to be Clemson right out of the box, right, y'all?
They were.
I was all in on New Mexico, so maybe I should steer clear of Clemson predictions for a while.
Yeah.
The ACC is killing it right now.
A couple of new coaches in the college basketball ranks. Louisville has settled on Pat Kelsey from College of Charleston, and UT Martin, which I didn't realize was open, but Ryan Ritter apparently took the Mercer job. They have hired Jeremy Schulman, who is the nephew of former Alabama Huntsville and current Central Arkansas coach John Schulman. So good week for the Schulman family.
Our friends to the north, about 100 miles from Murfreesboro, may be looking for a new coach here soon, too.
Yeah, it sounds like Steve Lutz may be in play out at Oklahoma State to replace Mike Boynton.
There you go.
You know, anybody that leaves Bowling Green, I wouldn't much blame them. So,
Come on.
Fair enough.
No. Real quick. The Big Three apparently has offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to play for him this season.
And Ice Cube wanted to keep that quiet, but apparently was unable. So.
Well, it's tough to keep $5 million quiet, I would think, for what did we say, 10 weekends?
Seems like it.
Well, that's if you play 2 playoff games.
Here's my question. Why would she not?
There's a reason why, but I think.
Is it a $5 million reason?
No, it's not 5. I think you play.
Shit.
I think you play.
Tomorrow, 2:00, we have lined up Blake Lovell and Kimmel. Basketball Preds. Come back, 2:00, right here, Main Street Sports Today, Lee Company Studios, brought to you by TOA of Columbia. We'll see you then.